Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
How are we doing, folks? I am not Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. You do hear me every weekday on Wisconsin Sports Daily along with Sparky. He decided to take a vacation today. He's lazy, I guess, just wants to go to the Dells and go on water slides and stuff. Yeah, he makes me go out and work. Just kidding. I love being out here. I'm at Natty Oaks, a wonderful establishment. Lots of great beers on tap. Lots of great liquor behind the bar. Lots of great food to eat as well. It is Fish Fry Friday. Lots of great options there. Get some potato pancakes on the side. Do it the traditional way. I'm a true Wisconsinite, Aaron. I don't know about you. When it comes to fish fry, Mitch was saying perch. Like, it's, in my mind, cod, like, every single time if I'm going to get something.
Yeah, I'm good with cod as, like, if it's there, I'll take it. But also, like, if you're getting a fish fry in Wisconsin, you're probably not going wrong with whatever kind of fish you're getting.
That's true, too. It is a staple. I love myself a good Fish Fry Friday. So come out, Natty Oaks, say hi to me as well. That other voice you hear is Aaron Morse back there in the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. We have a great show lined up for you guys today as the Milwaukee Brewers get started off here. If you just missed it, that was Mitch Thunder Nellis with the leadoff show, getting you ready for every single game. Before we get into some Packers talk, I wanted to look into the lineup a little bit here, Aaron. And as I see who's in that group, I enjoy seeing Gary Sanchez at DH. That's something, giving Christian Yelich that day off. Outside of that, and then maybe Garrett Mitchell being out of this lineup too, which I'm not 100% sure if in the playoffs he'll be that everyday center fielder, even at this point, the way Pat Murphy's played it out. But what I think I see is what's going to be the playoff lineup come time there, maybe even with Gary Sanchez in there at that DH spot.
Yeah, it's interesting. You're trying to figure out in these big matchups when you're facing the big pitchers, how much are they projecting playoffs and how much are they just saying, okay, this is a good day off for him because, like, for Garrett Mitchell, he's got that sore-ish foot. He's been red hot, but he kind of has that sore foot. Do you say, since it's a nasty lefty in Sale, we'll just take the chance of sitting him like two birds, one stone? Or is it because, well, Garrett Mitchell's not going to face in the playoffs, so he's not going to face him here? You know, we got to figure out where they're going with it. It's kind of interesting at this point in the season.
I could see that, but I also think to some degree in my mind, once you get to playoff time, you would want your A lineup behind your number one starter. And if Jacob Misiorowski obviously is going to be that number one starter come playoff time, I think that's the point where you kind of throw matchups a little bit out of the window. If a guy like Garrett Mitchell, I think, has been the most productive player at that position. At the same time, over the past month and a half or so, outside of the past couple of games for Garrett Mitchell, it has not been a fun performance for him. He started off the year so strong. I think I'm just happy that he's healthy up to this point in the season, along with a lot of other people. But as we watch this continue to play out, I think over the month of September, you're going to start seeing a lot more of lineups that look like this, where you can foresee that taking place in the playoffs as well. Since the Brewers are going to be playing right now, let's move away from them. I know some folks want to focus on the game and then also get a little bit of Wisconsin Sports Talk Radio on the other side of things. There's lots of stuff happening within the world of the Green Bay Packers and the NFL preseason. A couple games last night, a couple fun games last night. The Green Bay Packers take on the Denver Broncos tonight in their second preseason game. Aaron, I want to start off with a question that Mitch Thunder Nellis had brought up on the Mason Crosby show. And that was, how much would you play Jordan Love in this second game here, knowing that he probably isn't going to touch the field in that third game for the Green Bay Packers? How do you handle his snap count in this one, where it feels like over the past few years, the debate on whether to or not to play these players come the preseason has been a big focal point? Now you're down to one combined practice with the Arizona Cardinals next week, which isn't going to be a super big slugfest with the two coaches being brothers. So you don't really expect him to get a whole lot of work within that week and within that combined practice. That's going to be serious work for him. What would you do in this game with Jordan Love to make sure that he is ready to go come week 1, 100%?
I'm going somewhere in the equivalent, I guess, whichever one ends up being longer, 3 drives or 1 quarter. You know, if they're at 2 drives with a minute and a half left in the first quarter, go out there for that third drive, go into the second quarter, and then after that, cut them, get out of there. That's enough work for you. That's where I'm at.
Would you play him for a whole half at all?
I wouldn't. I'm not a believer in the preseason in like the get ready. Like if you're going to get ready, I think really the getting ready is you can do that in a quarter. You got to get hit. You have to feel a little bit of pressure, especially as a quarterback, running back, wide receiver. You want to get hit at some point. So you do that. You're going to get that in one quarter of play. The other part of getting ready is just suiting up, warm-ups, getting ready to play. And this would be your second time of getting ready to play. And I think that's good enough for a preseason.
Do you have that same mindset with other positions that do have solidified guys there? So let's say Zach Bakabawele at right tackle, if he was healthy going into this preseason game, which I don't think he is 100%, and part of why he's probably not going to play that much. But if he was, would you have that same mentality with that type of player, or Josh Jacobs in that case? Or would you give those guys maybe a little bit more rest than you would a Jordan Love because they're in so much more physical of a position? But then if you give those guys rest and you leave Jordan Love out there, doesn't that open him up for injury? How do you handle those other guys if they were in the same situation?
Yeah, Z-Bach, I would play pretty much the same as Jordan Love. Any of like the main guys, they're going one quarter. They're going one quarter. I would say someone like a Jordan Morgan, maybe he goes a half, or Jacob Monk or Jaeger Burton or Sean, like they can go a full half.
The guys in the competition, right?
Because they need it more. Also, they're younger. They need more action than Bakabawele and Love and Josh Jacobs and those guys. They don't. Christian Watson. He doesn't need 3 quarters of play.
What about Matthew Golden?
He can go a half if they want to stretch him and they want to go a half with Matthew Golden. They can do that. I think he just would benefit from some work anyway because he's relatively young. But I think it's a case-on-case basis of how good you are, how young you are, how much you played. But I'm going is a half. I'm not going a half more than the guys that you think are solidified on the roster.
Well, and that's Mitch was trying to argue that he would give Jordan Love the first half and then a drive or two into the second half in order to stabilize himself when it comes to the regular season. Heading into those second halves, the Green Bay Packers in the past few years have struggled a little bit coming out of those second halves. And I don't know if that's the mentality of Matt LaFleur and how he's going into those moments, or if that's the mentality of the team coming out of those moments. And because of it.
I was just going to ask, where do you put the blame on? Like, the reason why I think people want more playing time is because the Packers have kind of struggled early in seasons. Week 1, week 2, it's looked a little down.
This year might look the same because you're without your top defensive player.
So where are you putting the blame on why? Are you putting the blame on preseason action and maybe not enough of it? Where do you put the blame on that?
I don't know if I would put it on the preseason action specifically for the Green Bay Packers. I think over the past few years, what I've seen from the NFL, and especially in the first couple of weeks, is that defenses seem to truly really have that jump just overall on offenses. And I think part of that kind of has to do with the preseason overall, not just specifically for the Packers, that a lot of these teams aren't getting that overall experience, their quarterbacks into those high snap situations before they hit the regular season. And that wouldn't matter if we were still watching Drew Brees and Peyton Manning and Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady all in their prime, because all those guys have done it before. But we're not watching that. We're watching a Caleb Williams. We're watching a Drake May. We're watching a lot of young quarterbacks, including a Jordan Love for the Green Bay Packers, go into these games, I think, a little bit more passive than they need to be because they're still trying to work out a lot of the mental things that are happening on the field that they didn't get to work out in preseason performances before then. And because of that, when you have really young teams around those guys too, especially in the case of the Green Bay Packers over the past couple of seasons, this year it's a little bit different. They're a little bit older, they're a little bit more veteran. I think when the quarterback feels a little discombobulated, the quarterback feels like he's got to play catch up a little bit, everybody around the quarterback feels the same kind of way, which is also why I think it's really important to have some of these offensive linemen play a really consistent role on that offensive line instead of rotating guys around as much as we've seen over the past few years, or hopefully keep these guys healthy because Zach Bakabawele can't stay healthy, or we're looking at a Jordan Morgan in a more prime position taking on a bigger load, and then can he stay healthy throughout doing that as well? It's really imperative that those group of guys stick together and play really well, or at least good enough throughout the start of the season in order to give that baseline level of stability for the rest of this team. Now, again, this is not the same super young team that we've seen over the past few years. It's still a relatively young squad. But in the grand scheme of the NFL, everybody kind of is really young right now. Again, I think we're seeing a big transition period across the league. And because of that, I think it's just the fact that these quarterbacks are coming in with less experience and they're coming in with less preparation right away off the bat, besides what they're doing on the practice field, that leads to the type of play we see across the NFL, not just for the Packers.
I tend to say that it's more of a franchise philosophy or attitude, like the coaching staff, the players, like they have to, I feel like they have to just not be so soft beginning. I feel like they're a little tentative to begin the year. I don't necessarily blame it on playing time.
I think Matt LaFleur in general is just a tentative coach, especially when they have a lead.
It just seems like they're not ready to play, not because they haven't played snaps, but because like they're just not ready to start a season.
I guess that then brings it back to when we're talking about the Packers, specifically Matt LaFleur, I think is part of the problem. The way he's running these offenses, I think I'd rather sometimes have them lose a game in a blowout because they throw 6 interceptions and were aggressive to start the year than lose a game because they were tentative and early on in the second half and the other team just took advantage of a squad that didn't feel like they were ready to keep their foot on the gas, keep their foot on the neck. I think sometimes in those blowout games, especially early on in the season, especially with a team like the Packers this year, without Micah Parsons, defensively, I want to see a ton of early down blitzes, which we already saw in the first game against the Pittsburgh Steelers in the preseason without Micah Parsons. Be aggressive, try to build that momentum early on, and then when you add on your best overall player back to this lineup, you have that momentum underneath him, behind him, give him a little bit of support. So I think a lot of that has to go back to what we've been hoping for, at least myself has been hoping from this Green Bay Packers team, that they're more aggressive than on the offensive side of the ball too, and just have that mentality overall on both sides. And I really think they have the talent to do that.
So couldn't part of this be solved by maybe playing a quarter and then a quarter in week 3? Like, you don't have to sit guys in week 3. You can play them in week 3 if you want.
Would you ever play like guys, the starters in the first quarter of this week, and then maybe next week have the starters come out in the beginning of the third quarter and just say, hey, come out of a halftime, see what you can do. Come out of something cold with a lead, something like that, play one drive just to see what you can do coming out of the second half, and then the backups go straight back in.
Yeah, I would say you'd probably have to play a little bit before the second or the
the second
half.
So you play the drive going into the second half, and you play the drive coming out.
Because if you're coming out cold, then it's just like you're starting a game.
Fair.
Yeah, so I think you'd have to play the final drive and then go into the first drive of the second half.
If you were the head coach of the Packers, would you do that?
No, I would just play him. I would just play him the first drive of week 3, and then I would play him probably 1 or 2 drives week 1, a quarter week 2, and a drive week 3, and call it good.
All right. I think I can get behind that as well. Let's head on over to the Nicolay Law Talk and text line 414-677-1250. Again, that's 414-677-1250, 1250. Ziggy says, watch out for the storm, Charlie. It looks like it passed by pretty quickly over here. I don't know down the street over there, Aaron, if you're getting hit by anything extra at all. It looks like it slowed down. So it was just a short little pass through here. We'll see if that keeps up as we continue through the show here. I know Sparky was saying when he was at the Brewers game earlier in the week that it looked like a lot of the roof was leaking kind of towards the middle of the mound and by the hitters and stuff. We'll see if that happens again today. If the weather keeps up that way, it's going to be exciting to watch. So far, Jacob Mizorowski in the top of the first has 1 out. Got a runner on first as we speak. Again, we'll keep an eye on that game as it continues on here. All right, I did have a topic for this first segment. I know we ended up rambling just about the preseason in general, but my topic has to do with our guy, Easton Butler, over there on a lot of social medias. He considers himself a Packers insider, and I would say he's one of the best. Kind of has a lot of great different sources that I don't think a lot of other insiders have coming from where he is and the type of connections that he has. But Easton Butler had put out there last night that the Green Bay Packers have been making calls for cornerback across the league per source. One name mentioned has been Joey Porter Jr., who was on the last year of his deal. Kool-Aid McKinstry is another name who Brian Gutekunst has called about in the past. The final name is Broncos cornerback Riley Moss, who's got former first-rounder Jahdae Barron looking to take over the starting spot. He also adds that no trade is imminent right now for this Green Bay Packers team. I wanted to ask you, out of those 3 names that I named, Joey Porter Jr., Riley Moss and Kool-Aid McKinstry, which of those seems the most exciting to you in a potential trade package, and whether or not you have some other names that you wish the Packers would call on moving forward here as we get closer to the regular season, as you get closer to trying to figure out what's going on in that cornerback room. Aaron, tonight, later on in the show, we'll talk about what you're looking forward to watching most, but I think one person that a lot of people are looking forward to watching is a Keyshawn Nixon in this game, even if it's for a drive or two. What do you want to see out of a Keyshawn Nixon in that drive or two that he may play for this Green Bay Packers team in order to kind of quell some of these talks a little bit? I don't think they're going to go away because people have just had problems with Keyshawn, Carrington Valentine over the past few years. But when you have a rookie like Brandon Cisse coming in, who seems like he's going to automatically take one of those first team spots, he's been playing really well. How do you kind of grow his talent without going and getting a trade for a more talented player alongside him? I think when we watch Keyshawn Nixon, is there any bit of you tonight that feels like if he just shows you 1 to 2 good plays, you're all right with Keyshawn moving forward for at least another couple weeks or so?
Hopefully Keyshawn Nixon isn't listening. There's nothing that he can really do to change my mind on how much he should be playing. He should be cornerback 3 on this team, and I'm going to be very, very strict on that line. He's cornerback 3, and nothing's going to change that. I don't care if it's Carrington Valentine or Benjamin St-Juste or Kamal Hadden. Keyshawn Nixon needs to be cornerback 3.
So if he's cornerback 3, though, you just don't keep him, right? Like if you have all those other guys behind him that are in that same kind of role, and you have special teams players, so it's not like he can really help you there as well. Like, you just move on from him at that point.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but cornerback, you need depth there. You need at least 4 cornerbacks that you trust. So if they really, truly trust Kamal Hadden that he is good enough to be cornerback 4, then sure, you can trade one of Keyshawn Nixon or Carrington Valentine, which Easton Butler said the other day that teams were calling on Carrington Valentine, specifically Bengals, Steelers, Dolphins. So maybe they are interested in Carrington Valentine. You get a 6th-round pick for him or something. But that's only if you feel confident in Kamal Hadden being able to be a cornerback 4, because you're going to need 4 cornerbacks at some point this season.
And I think they do feel pretty confident in Kamal Hadden being that type of guy. Last season, when he came in towards the end of the year and then almost immediately went down with the injury, it seemed like the Packers were really disappointed by that news. Obviously, just because it's a young guy that ends up getting hurt in his first real action, you hate to see that in general. But it also felt like the Green Bay Packers and Jeff Hafley felt like he was a player that could make a difference for this team moving forward. And I think when I look at Keyshawn Nixon holding up a spot at that cornerback 3 role, yes, I know you want to make sure that Kamal Hadden can take that role, but I'd rather give him an opportunity, give somebody like Kamal Hadden an opportunity to at least show that maybe they can do that over a Keyshawn Nixon who feels like he's already earned whatever spot he's got every single season. He feels disrespected now that they've been moving him up and down within the roster. All of these other small things where he feels like he deserves that spot. You can't go into the season with players with that mindset. You're starting to get a lot of these guys into their second contracts. You're starting to get a lot of these guys more veteran now as they spend time in the league. And because of that, they're going to get more bold. Their egos are going to get a little bit bigger. If they feel like they've been in those spots, I think as a Green Bay Packers team where you are sitting in such a tough division, those types of players, if they are feeling that way and they are going to talk about it like this, are only going to be a distraction and take away from you moving forward. And when his talent isn't that much better, in my mind, at least right now from what I've seen, what I've heard from training camp, from a Kamal Hadden or from a different type of player that's coming out of a different training camp that gets cut, or a veteran player that's looking for another opportunity, then I'm just going to give those guys a shot because they seem to be hungrier at this point than a Keyshawn Nixon, and their talent level isn't that much lower than a Keyshawn Nixon.
Yeah, it's a great point. The attitude is a big part of that. And if you are going to trade someone, it probably should be Keyshawn Nixon. Both he and Valentine are in the final years of their contract. So they're both gone if you don't re-sign them. Which one would you rather re-sign this offseason? Keyshawn Nixon, the guy who's a bit of an attitude problem and maybe a locker room cancer, if not a high one, at least there's probably a little bit of it. Or Carrington Valentine, who's younger and maybe has a little more upside that he still could reach at some point in his career, and probably going to be cheaper because he's not a Pro Bowler like Keyshawn Nixon.
Well, and somebody was trying to get in on the talking text line like 2 weeks ago saying, oh, he was a Pro Bowler for being a return. I was like, no, he was not. He replaced cornerback Devin Witherspoon. When they sent out the press release, it was as cornerback.
Is a replacement, yes.
He is. He was in there as a replacement, but it was as cornerback.
Yeah.
And I know in the future, in the next 4 or 5 years, a Pro Bowl isn't going to mean nearly as much. But right now, you still have a lot of old guys in front offices that care about that Pro Bowl stature. And because of that, I think there are going to be guys that are willing to take a chance on that player. I had said, because Sparky had brought up the Miami Dolphins being a potential spot because Jeff Hafley was his former coach, maybe could work with him, a rebuilding team that he could join to be a veteran type of leader, get an opportunity. They have 2 fifth-round picks. Do you think a team would trade a fifth-round pick for Keyshawn Nixon if they felt like he would be a good locker room fit, if that's where his biggest value was?
I think a fifth-round pick would probably be pushing it. I mean, it would have to be a desperate team.
What would you take for a Keyshawn Nixon? Then?
I would take, if someone was willing to take a sixth,
okay,
done. It'd be done yesterday. You know, if it was a fifth-round pick, I would be over the moon. I'd be like, are you sure? Was this an accident typo? Did you mean
Nope.
Sixth rounder? Here you go.
Keyshawn would be on a plane already, man.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
exactly.
be asking questions if they said fifth rounder. He's on the plane, man, for sure. I get that. When we come back, let's continue this talk about the cornerbacks. Again, I wanted to ask you, out of a Joey Porter Jr. from the Pittsburgh Steelers, out of a Kool-Aid McKinstry from New Orleans, or out of a Riley Moss from Denver, the team that you're playing today, later tonight as the Green Bay Packers, which of those 3 cornerbacks would you rather make a trade for? You can get in on the Nicolay Law Talk and Text line 414-677-1250. Again, 414-677-1250, 1250 to get in on the show that way. I am broadcasting live here from Natty Oaks. A great crowd here watching the Brewers game, so come on out, come visit. They got the game on almost all of the TVs, and the Milwaukee Brewers are looking to get something going early here in the first inning. They're 2 outs away, bottom of the first. William Contreras up against Chris Sale. Again, I am Charlie Houston. I am broadcasting live from Natty Oaks. My friend Aaron Morse there is broadcasting live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, and we are Wisconsin Sports Daily.
So lay down.
Welcome back into Wisconsin Sports Daily. I am Charlie Houston here live from Natty Oaks. I got my guy Aaron Morris back there in the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, and we are so happy you are joining us here today. If you're keeping up with the Brewers game, going out into the top of the second, the Milwaukee Brewers got two guys on base in the bottom of the second, that being William Contreras and Andrew Vaughn, both with singles themselves. As we head into the top of the second here, Jacob Misiorowski heads back onto the mound. They're showing his player weekend cleats. I saw a bunch of the player weekend bats earlier too, Aaron. How are you with kind of swag in baseball? I know some people have a problem with, especially the little league guys, wearing all the bright pink stuff, wearing the extra things that they probably don't need. When you get to the MLB level, I think some people maybe have a problem with the players weekend if it wasn't for charity. It's all like going to charity, all for that. So it's a great cause most of the time. But a lot of people have a problem with the players having these funky bats or funky cleats. How do you feel about swag in baseball?
I'm cool with it. You go for it. When I was in middle school and into a little bit of high school, I wore the fighting necklace, the energy necklace.
Okay.
That was big when I was
that were supposed to give you
when I was in little league. Yep, exactly.
Or the balance bracelets.
Yep. I wore an arm sleeve in high school on my right arm. So like I'm cool with it. I've ditched those now. I mean the best I got custom cleats with my number and my last name on the back of them. So that's about what I got for equipment, I guess.
When I was playing football, I played lineman, and linemen tend not to be very swaggy, so I did my very best to be swaggy. In high school, I dislocated my elbow, so I wore a sleeve on the elbow, even though it didn't mean anything. Moving forward, I was going to protect my elbow from being dislocated again. But I would tell people I wore it because of that, and I would be like, "Nah, it's just sick. I look awesome." I'd hang
cool.
I'd hang my long cutoff out of the bottom of the jersey and stuff, trying to be the overall swag is. I had white gloves, I had white cleats, I was rocking everything to be the coolest guy out there. And then I still don't think I still was a chubby guy. So at the end of the day, it doesn't end up looking that great.
I would say these kids nowadays that are in little league that put the sliding mitts on.
Yep. Or
those should be banned.
The thumb grip thing that all MLB players use.
Yeah. The sliding mitts need to be banned. You know why?
Why?
One reason, and it's the most practical reason ever. You know who can't slide head first? Little leaguers.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that was a rule.
You aren't allowed to slide head first. You have to slide feet first until you're 13 or 14 years old.
So what? You're protecting your
what do you need
getting
another mitt
dragged
for?
on the ground?
Yeah, right. Those should not be allowed. You don't even need it. You don't slide head first.
Aaron, they look like ice cream cones.
Yeah,
come on. That's the reason you need it. It looks awesome. And
Can't
then you
even
wear
slide. These parents, why are you spending $80 on a thing that's not even applicable?
Exactly. Okay, well, not just swag then, but eye black. Are you an eye black guy?
I haven't worn eye black in many years, but I'm an eye black guy. Yeah, go for the eye black. Yeah.
I went with I always like the Bryce Harper drag it all the way down my face, into the beard and everything. Again,
you're an offensive lineman though. That's legit.
My one friend used to do it all across his nose, the thickest black line across, and just mark it all the way down. I was like, dude, that is just how are you? I would smell the face paint. That's the problem with me, is that it just smells so bad sometimes. And then he'd rip the smelling salts right after putting all of it on his face. He's like, that's how I don't smell it. I just clear my nose with the smelling salts.
I've got a great smelling salt story if we got a couple minutes here.
Yeah,
not even
course.
A couple minutes.
We used to have a jar of smelling salts in the studio. I don't know if they're still in there. So if you want to rip some, they may not be good anymore.
I don't see them. I don't know. I feel like I would have found them by now.
Yeah, probably.
So a couple of years ago, one of my friends had never done smelling salts before. So we were like, oh yeah, you got to try it just to experience it. But one of my other friends had a bottle of it, where you would right?
That's what we had in the studio. Yeah.
And he's not always very clear with his instructions. I told my buddy, just put it up to your nose and my other buddy's like, yeah, just put it in your nose and smell. So my buddy puts it in his nostril and sniffs like a like that.
That's awful.
And he instantly jumps off the couch. And starts itching his head. My head itches, my brain itches, and he's rubbing his head. He's I've got a video of it. It is he is in pain because he put it up his nose and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, you should not have listened to him. That is not how you do it.
Aaron, I think I could see that being a pretty bad fantasy football punishment if you wanted to give somebody an idea for their leagues. And that's what I want to move on to next year. As fantasy football season starts getting going, you typically on Fridays during the football season on Wisconsin Sports Daily, especially starting next week as we get into that last weekend of the preseason, Steve Sparky Pfeiffer and myself are joined by Joe Bartle from RotoWire Sports. So we have Fantasy Fridays with Joe. He's awesome. But I want to start the fantasy festivities a little bit early here. Aaron, I believe I am in 4 fantasy leagues this season. Typically, like I try to keep it like that as the max. I don't try to go over too much. 7?
And I commissioned 3.
Oh my God, dude. How are you doing that? 3 of are
It's
they
a
all
lot.
different rules too? Is it like different scoring in all 3 leagues?
But I have a guillotine league, which is the one where you cut off the lowest score every
Right.
week. I've got a dynasty league, a keeper league, couple redrafts, and I think that's it. Yeah.
I'm in a dynasty league, which I'm having a lot of fun with. We just started that last season. My draft this year was not good, but I went really young with that squad. And then I have 2 other leagues with friends. Actually, I might be hitting 5 this year. I might be going, which means I'm not paying attention to 3 of them by the end of the year too. But the other one that I'm a part of is my girlfriend's family, and that is my favorite league to be a part of because. Yeah, and we won last season. Last season was the inaugural year. We killed everybody because my girlfriend drafted the team. She drafted 5 quarterbacks, so I had to then figure out how to fix the lineup because she couldn't figure out on ESPN how to switch the position, and her family, because I was working. That's why she was drafting, and we're running this team together. This year, I'm going to let her draft again and see what she could do, but I'm going to be with her this time, so we'll see if it goes a little better this year. But she couldn't figure out how to change the positions, and they only made each round like 30 seconds. So she's like freaking out trying to figure out how to change the position. All her family's just laughing at her as she's auto-picking quarterbacks back to back to back.
She cornered the market.
Exactly. So we were stocked at quarterback. Like, I'm not going to lie. And I was like, before the draft, I had told her, like, and I'm kind of glad she didn't get to this point, but I was like, if we get in the late round as a backup quarterback, I want Michael Penix. And I was like, I feel like he might have kind of a decent year with a really star-studded offense. And then she came back to me and she's like, well, I didn't get Michael Penix, but and lists off 5 other quarterbacks that she drafted. I was like, all right, we'll figure it out that way. But that league didn't have a punishment last year. I think we're talking about doing a punishment this year. I think the worst punishment I've ever been a part of is one year, one of my friends, we were younger, I think like middle school, maybe freshman year of high school, and we did something called the Breakfast Challenge, which I think I've seen a couple other people do a version of this. We put our friend who was the worst team in the league, and he also didn't know football, so like he was just coming in blind, just kind of hoping that he'd do well. We put him in a dog cage and then poured syrup, cracked eggs over him, poured like pancake batter all over him. And then some milk maybe too. I think like we went all out, and he was just had to be stuck the entire time. Nowadays, I look back at that and say that was probably a little harsh potentially for a fantasy football punishment. But I've been listening to over like the past couple of years. I'm a big TikTok guy. I guess Gen Z, you guys can make fun of me all you want, all the old people listening, sure, whatever. But I've been on TikTok in the past couple of years. You keep seeing people pop up right as the fantasy football season gets started with these really funky fantasy football punishment ideas. Aaron, I got one over there from the Ringer on your side in our show folder where they're discussing a fun fantasy football punishment idea that I think they heard from a different TikToker at some point. And I really like the idea. Go ahead.
Good one, Raheem. Yesterday, it was a 10K. So you're dropped off, whatever distance a 10K is, and your buddies take your credit card and they go drinking, and you have to. You can't stop them from running up the charges until you finish the 10K and get back to the bar wherever they are and snatch your credit card. So they can do damage. That was fun.
That is fun. I think that's good.
Yeah.
I don't think I would ever participate in a league where that was the punishment. My fat butt is not running a 10K in order to stop my friends from buying everything in my card. First, I don't have that much money in my bank account. So like a 10K is going to take me maybe a normal person, like 25, 30 minutes. It's not like what like people run them in, something like that, 40 minutes maybe. It's like going to be 2 hours. And by that point, my stupid friends, I know, will have run up the biggest tab possible because they all just love beer. We live in Wisconsin. You kind of have to. It would be by far one of the worst punishments possible for myself. I don't lose, though. I'm just jinxed myself. If I'm being honest, I just am going to lose every single one of the 5 leagues. Yeah. Exactly. I don't take last place. I usually end up in like the middle of the league. I can't remember the last time I took last place, so maybe that would make me more eager to try this. Aaron, would you put your name into that league if that was the punishment?
I would, because I'm confident that I wouldn't take last place, but I would also.
Now we're both going to suck this year.
I would feel like I would have a really hard time being one of the people at the bar running up the tab, because I know if it was me, I would be in shambles. I'd be like, I don't want you running up a couple hundred.
Would it depend on the friend? I feel like I have some friends who I know, like, you know, they've been jerks at points, or they don't give me back money.
Maybe.
Like I buy them a bunch of stuff, and then it's like always like, oh, I'll get you back. They never get you back. Maybe that guy, I'm like, if I just happen to have $100 worth of beer and food while you're running over here, I won't feel nearly as bad because you probably owe me $200.
How high do you think these tabs are getting? Let's say you're in a 10-person league. 9 people are there.
There's got to be, like, in a 10-person league, I feel like at least 2 of those people are just dogs and will just pound as much beer as possible. You got to have, like, your big guy in your league,
Still,
obviously.
I feel like it's hard to get higher than, like, a $300 tab in that.
Well, it depends on where you're doing it, too.
That's true.
So, like, let's say you're going to do a 10K to downtown Milwaukee.
That's true.
Those prices of those beers are a little more expensive than if we're hanging out at Natty Oaks, and they got amazing prices here, amazing food that you can come and have over here as well. Like, they treat you right over here at Natty Oaks. I don't know if every single downtown bar on Brady Street is going to treat you as nicely when it comes to the beer prices. So I think that's the biggest change there. Aaron, what is the worst punishment you've ever endured or witnessed in one of your fantasy leagues?
To be honest, I've never had a punishment in one of my fantasy leagues.
You've been in like 7 leagues, I'm going to assume, for multiple years at this point. You've never had a punishment in any of those?
No, I've had a league with my cousins for it's probably been like 15 years now, and we've never had a punishment in our league. We've never done it. I know. We've tried with my college friends getting a punishment, but we've never been together to do it. So it's kind of we were gonna do you got to do the combine, the NFL combine. You have to go through the combine, and if you lose, and then you got to we got to video it, and then you put it on social media of you doing the combine.
How do you think you would do in the combine? If you had to run a 40 right now, what would be your 40?
Let's see. So I'm actually wearing the shirt right now, the NFL draft shirt from Green Bay. So that was 2 years ago. I ran the 40 in like 6 seconds.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah.
I feel like somebody who's not training for that. Yeah. All right.
I think it was like 6.3 or something. I can't remember, but it was like somewhere in the 6 to 6.5.
I'm trying to remember the last time I ran a 40. So, like, right now, I'd be like 7 seconds. Like, I have not worked out in the 2 years that I've been out of football.
I don't know if I'd get 6.5 now. It might be like 7.
I think my best time when I was running, like, actually playing, it was probably my senior year of high school was the last time we did a 40. I think I ran a 5.48. Which is like not that bad. I was like,
that's
okay,
I
could deal with that. Again, yeah, I'd probably add another second on now. I'd probably pull a hammy halfway through, and you can't let the timer stop, so you gotta let it keep running, get to the end. I get that. So let us know on the Nicolay Law Talking text line 414-677-1250 what the worst fantasy football punishment that you've ever endured or witnessed or heard about is. We'd love to hear some of those here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, and also live from Natty Oaks, which at 6:30 here, hopefully as long as the rain stays away, keeps us a little bit dry, the Love Monkeys will be performing at 6:30. As Mitch Thunder Nellis put it, Milwaukee legend type of band that is coming to Natty Oaks here. Tomorrow night, First Wave will be playing Music in the Grass at 6:30, and Sunday will be Family Fun Day, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., bounce houses, face painting, balloon artists, and a magic show happening at 2. All of these events are free to attend, but of course, you got to grab a beer, you got to grab some great food from Natty Oaks here. Now, let's head back into a break. When we come back, it is not Charlie's Sounds of the Day today. It is Aaron's Sounds of the Day. Again, here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from Natty Oaks and from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I love the Arctic Monkeys. Next week, exactly 1 week from today, on Wisconsin Sports Daily, which I am currently hosting. My name is Charlie Houston. That is Aaron Morse producing on the other side. You will be able to pick bumper music. We are doing 1980s or older.
Yeah, this says May bumpers.
Yeah, we're a little behind. We were supposed to do them at the beginning of August, and then we got distracted by a few other things. Don't worry about it. Aaron, what's your favorite song?
My favorite that is a loaded question. There's
what's
a
your
lot
favorite
of songs
band?
that are coming
All right,
up.
favorite band,
I don't have
favorite
no,
artist.
that's worse to answer. Favorite
How's that
song,
worse?
because I don't have a favorite band. I'll say Nevermind by Dennis Lloyd.
I don't even think I know that song.
I'll say that one. Another one is Somebody I Used to Know by Gautier.
Okay, I know
That's
that one.
another one,
sure.
good one, yeah.
Banger. All right.
Yep, one hit wonder.
Yeah. All right, I really like that. Well, with that, let's get to Aaron/Charlie's Sounds of the Day.
What sound clips will Chicago Charlie pick today for Sparky? Will Sparky become enraged? Will laughter ensue? It's time for Charlie's Sound of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right, this is typically a segment that I lead in order to make Sparky mad almost every single day. It's one of my favorite activities, one of my favorite pastimes here with the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. But today, Aaron Morrison and myself agreed that there is one clip that we really wanted to hear. This is former Brewers pitcher and current Astros closer, Josh Hader, talking about his time with the Brewers in 2018.
I don't know. I mean, I felt like 18 was a solid year for us. And we did get some pieces. I think at the same time, they have such a young group of guys that come up and just do really well. And I would hate for, those guys, long-term pieces to leave for maybe a rental that, you don't know if that rental is going to impact your team in a big way or not. So it's definitely a gamble, but I do think for what they're doing over there, and it's been like that since I've been there, like they have figured it out on how to develop pitching, and obviously the hitting side of it as well. But I think the biggest thing in baseball, it's like you want the superstars, but it's more so, I think, keeping the guys that have done well throughout instead of getting rid of them. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, you got guys coming on the free agency in a few years, and it's like, well, let's take the advantage and get prospects, so then you can build it, which is, one of the reasons why they're the way they are right now is these young guys, they get them through trades, and then they come up and flourish and, help their team then. So it's just a different outlook, I think. But ultimately, that's just the way they play the game. And, you can't really hate them for that. But at the same time, it's, you want to see the superstars come in and be able to make a push. But I felt like when we were there, we had good opportunities to do it. Obviously maybe one big piece could have helped, but to that point is like, you don't know if that big piece comes in. I mean, when you get traded, it's a big difference. You know what I mean? Like you're lifting your life up, you're moving right away to a new city, to a new team, getting in, housing, all that, family, especially if you have family, moving them out, making sure they're taken care of. So I think there's a lot of moving parts that people don't really understand that could play a role in how guys perform.
So just real quickly here before we have to get to break, that's former Brewers pitcher Josh Hader. He really seems to truly understand the goal of the Milwaukee Brewers, especially within their front office, which I think some people get worried about with a guy like Josh Hader because of the way his tenure ended with the Milwaukee Brewers, that he would harbor hard feelings for this organization. It doesn't feel like he does. It feels like he understands the business of baseball, and he goes about it in a way that I think is extremely professional from a guy that, again, I think some people feel like got screwed over a little bit by the Milwaukee Brewers. All right, let's take a quick time out. When we come back, let's give you another update of the Milwaukee Brewers, as it looks like somebody might be primed to score here. And right as I say that, the Milwaukee Brewers get a run. This is Wisconsin Sports Daily. I'm Charlie Houston. That is Aaron Morse over there in the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I'm live from Natty Oaks. Lots of great food, lots of great beer, and the Brewers are live on almost every single TV. So come stop by.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
No, I am not Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, but I am a voice that you recognize. This is Charlie Houston from Wisconsin Sports Daily, filling in for Sparky here live from Natty Oaks as we start getting filled up for the dinner rush. Come and get some fish fry, big old bowl of chili, some clam chowder. I think Mitch Thundernellis was eating earlier. I can't say I'm a clam chowder guy, Aaron. Are you a clam chowder guy?
I'm not a soup guy.
Just a soup guy in general. Are you
I
like,
don't
is it
get
consistency or is it like you just don't like soup? Like, what is it?
I don't get it.
What do you mean you don't get soup? That would be
Why
the
would I
first
want soup?
I had a beer cheese soup yesterday that was phenomenal.
I don't understand why people want soup.
So do you like not like any kind of like stew or porridge?
Not
or,
really. No, just give me some chicken noodle and I'm good. But otherwise, I don't get it.
Is the slop factor? Like, what is it about
No,
soup? I need to
maybe
understand what do you
maybe
mean you
it's
don't
like-
get soup.
Maybe it's just like I don't know how anyone gets filled up on soup. Like it's just water.
What about
it's
like chili? You like chili?
No, I'm not a beans guy. I'm not. Don't throw all that junk at me.
So Aaron's a chicken nugget kid, chicken nugget and mac and cheese.
Maybe
That's what I'm
it's-
getting.
You know
out
what?
of
I
this.
don't really understand warm liquids.
Just in general, like so hot chocolate. You don't like hot chocolate or hot cider?
Don't drink
during the
hot
fall?
chocolate. Don't drink coffee.
Dude,
Like
you're
warm
missing
liquids, I
out.
just don't really get. Like if I want something to drink, it's got to be cold.
Nah, you got it all wrong. I'm gonna start giving you just like soups every day and just see if you like it. I'm just gonna bring a different soup every single day and see if we can get you to pick one out.
Yeah, when I'm starving, I'm gonna go to soup to fill me up.
You might pick Panera's got a lot of great soup sometimes. Wendy's has a phenomenal chili. We
My
could go
grandpa
over there.
loves Wendy's chili.
There you go.
Loves
there you
it.
go. We
Yeah.
can go with your grandpa. Perfect.
All right.
We'll set it up. This is Wisconsin Sports Daily. Like I said before, if you guys are keeping an eye on the Brewers game or aren't keeping an eye on the Brewers game, the Milwaukee Brewers took a 2-run lead over the Atlanta Braves. Is now currently the top of the fourth, but in the bottom of the third, there William Contreras singled to shallow center field, which scored Luis Lara, Jackson Churio to third, and then Andrew Vaughn followed that up with a force out to shortstop, which still scored Jackson Churio as the second baseman for the Braves hesitated a little bit. Andrew Vaughn was hustling on that one. Like, he is not a very fast person from what we've seen in the past, but he was moving to get that, so the Brewers get a second run on that one. Jacob Mizorowski almost through 4 here. He's got 2 outs in the top of the fourth. He's sitting currently at 55 pitches, so I don't know if I'm really expecting like a 7-inning performance from him in this one, potentially 5th, 6th if he keeps the shutout going here, but he's pitching really well today as expected. But since we have the Brewers game going live here, I wanted to talk some more about the Green Bay Packers. Let's head on over to our Green and Gold update.
It's time for your Green and Gold update on Wisconsin Sports Daily, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer.
All right. So here on the Green and Gold update, typically throughout training camp and the preseason, you get to hear a little bit of Matt LaFleur the past couple of days because they are playing in Denver tonight, an 8 p.m. start on that one. Aaron, I heard Brandon Snide and Rami Makloff talking about this on 9 to noon, it being an 8 o'clock start, even though it's in Mountain West time, you're in Denver, all of that. Is that dumb to you that they're playing a preseason game this late? Wouldn't you just play it in the middle of the day because you just assume most people wouldn't be paying attention? Are like the Brewers, are they moving up because they're giving the Packers room to have a preseason game? Like, does that make any sense to you? All this stuff just feels weird that it's at 8 p.m.
I'm not sure I understand the confusion about time zones.
Well, what do you mean?
Denver's playing their game at 7 o'clock.
It's 7 still feels late is our point. Like, it still feels
7
late
o'clock?
for a preseason game?
Games start at 7 o'clock. All games start at 7 o'clock.
Not like preseason games don't matter to me at all is my point. And that the fact that they're taking up a time slot at night that we could have had Jacob Mizorowski and Chris Sale in the first game of a series.
I don't think that game's being played. They want to play it at 3:10 so that they can play at 1:10 tomorrow so that they can get to Williamsport at a decent time.
That's late.
I'm telling you, they want to start their game at 7 o'clock. Most games are starting at 7 o'clock. I don't I'm not shocked by this at all.
I think it's dumb. Play the games earlier in the day. Play the games earlier in the day.
Steelers and Jets playing at 7:00 local time.
Play earlier in the
Jaguars are playing at 6:30. Does that better for you?
No, I want it earlier than that. I want like the earliest game. I want all the games to start at like 5:00, like latest.
Yeah, people aren't gone from work, man. They're not going to.
It's a preseason game. Do you really get that much money from these preseason games? People watching them, tuning into them, that it's worthwhile for the NFL to play them at this point.
Oh yeah.
Dude, they get so much money from everything else. Stop being selfish. Just play the games at a normal time. Let people have a Friday night. Not worry about whether or not.
Time.
No, it's not for a preseason game. I refuse. Will not step down on this. You can put me in plead the fifth if you want. I don't care. I think it's stupid that all these
going into plead the fifth.
I don't care.
Charlie.
Exactly. I'm sure somebody will put me in there. Somebody might put me in there for the fantasy football punishment I talked about earlier too. That may get me in plead the fifth before this.
I hope next year the Packers, they won't have to go on the road twice in the preseason, just once. But how about in 2 years? I hope in 2 years they have to go to Seattle and to Arizona for their 2 road postseason games, preseason games. So it starts at 9:00. How about that?
I'm not watching. I'm boycotting the NFL if that happens. I'm leaving. They're going to miss all of my none money that I spend on the NFL every single season. So let's dive into this game instead of just complaining about the start time of this game. Again, the Packers and Broncos will be playing tonight. Before I mentioned the cornerback room and the market and what this team is kind of looking at in order to bolster that room, I think that just in general, outside of Keyshawn Nixon specifically, because I know a lot of people are going to have eyes on him. In general, people are going to be watching that cornerback room tonight. Aaron, when you're watching this defense tonight, are you paying as much attention to the cornerback room as maybe some other fans are, knowing that a lot of these guys maybe aren't the top tier players, or maybe because the trade rumors are out there, may not just be the room that you're playing with in a few days, in a few weeks?
I'm not paying as much attention because I feel like the cornerback room is pretty much set. I don't think there's going to be really much moving around, maneuvering of who's the 1, 2, 3. I think Brandon Cisse is the number 1, and I think Carrington Valentine's the number 4, and which means that it's either St. Juste or Nixon, and Nixon's probably going to get the nod there. So I'm not as interested in that. I'm going to stick as my interest being with the pass rushers.
I get that, and I think that's a room that you're definitely going to see be affected by these preseason games moving forward a little bit. Are you going to be surprised because of what we've heard from that cornerback room that Keyshawn Nixon maybe would start on the 2s going into this game, and would that change your perception at all about that trade market that we talked about before, or the fact that this room may not be as set?
No, I think, mostly because I think Keyshawn Nixon should be playing with the 2s, so I guess it's not a big deal to me, and I probably still expect him to play as a starter. I think it's much more important. How about, I'll put it this way. It's much more important for whoever is going to be the pass rusher than if it's going to be Nixon or St. Juste at number 2 cornerback.
So let's talk about those pass rushers then. Out of that group of guys that we've heard their names talked about throughout this preseason and the past couple seasons as well, Barron Sorrell, Brenton Cox Jr., a lot of these young players that are looking to make a name for themselves. DDS, I know he got overheated at practice the other day. I'm sure that was just kind of a one-time thing. He'll be back in the rotation today. A lot of these young players that you're looking at to hopefully step up in the absence of a Micah Parsons and beyond as well. I think when you look at what Lucas Van Ness has done over his career so far, A, he hasn't stayed healthy, and B, when he has been on the field, hasn't been the most exciting player, at least up to his draft pick that he was that first-round guy. He hasn't been that first-round guy. Out of those players that are in that backup pass rush group, which one are you most excited to watch in this game, and which one do you have the most confidence in moving forward in the season?
Yeah, if I don't include Lucas Van Ness into that, mostly, I'm just interested to see if Van Ness, he's had a pretty good offseason. He's had
a pretty good offseason for the past 5. Like last year when they were talking about how successful he was in training camp and all these other things, I said Lucas Van Ness is going to have a breakout season. His breakout season is 7.5 sacks, and he couldn't stay healthy for that. And even when he was on the field, he wasn't producing at least to that level, or at least to that stat category. He was doing a couple other things that I think a lot of people were excited about. His run defense really picked up in the second half of the year last year that a lot of people were starting to get excited about. Again, I think that was more out of necessity than him actually developing as a run stuffer. I think a lot of these guys on that defense last year just couldn't do that. So the fact that he was doing it at all really was a good sign for anybody, or at least a good omen for Lucas Van Ness moving forward. I think this year, when I see that he's playing well in the preseason, when he's playing well in training camp, I'm not nearly as confident in saying that 7.5 sacks, which isn't a crazy number in the modern NFL. I think a decent amount of guys to be a good pass rusher get that 7.5 sack mark. I just don't believe Lucas Van Ness can do that. Do you believe Lucas Van Ness can do that?
No, I don't.
What are your expectations for Van Ness then, if he has a completely healthy season?
Okay, I can see him getting the 7.5 sacks, but it's going to be because of Micah Parsons, not because of Lucas Van Ness. How about that? I think if it was up to Lucas Van Ness to get 4 sacks in the first, let's say 3 sacks in the first 5 weeks that Parsons is out, I don't think he's going to do that. Mostly because, one, I don't think he's talented enough. He shouldn't have never been the 13th overall pick. And number 2, like you said, who knows if he's staying healthy, and he hasn't even shown the ability to sack the quarterback with any regularity so far in his career. I would love to see him jump to that next level. I don't know if I would love it enough to sign him to an extension moving forward after this year. But they are going to need him to be somewhat of a relevant player in order to make it far in the postseason, because you are going to need somebody who can create some havoc where Micah Parsons isn't being double and triple teamed this season.
Throughout the offseason, there had been a bunch of trade rumors surrounding a couple different players to help be that second guy, solidify that second guy in the pass rush. And you didn't really see that play out this season or this offseason, because a lot of them were asking for maybe a little more than what the Packers were willing to give up, especially after the trade you make for Micah Parsons last season. Do you think as the season goes on, this Packers team is going to find somebody within that pass rush room to be that second guy, to be a consistent second or third guy in that group? Or do you think those trade rumors are going to start back up? And if they do start back up, are the Packers going to be at the same kind of level of confidence they are in this room that they have? And will they make that move then when it comes halfway through the season instead of before the season?
Yeah, I'm the name is escaping me right now. Who's the Cardinals?
Jonathan Sweat.
Yeah, yes. He's the one that I think could be acquired because of his connection with Jonathan Gannon. It would obviously probably more towards the trade deadline, unless he just decides not to show up to Arizona at some point and just says, I'm never going to play for you again.
Right.
So maybe trade deadline, you can get Sweat. That would be kind of out of their norm though. Like they don't really make that big punch, that big swing at the trade deadline generally. But if that's one that I think they could, that's a realistic one, actually, I think that they could do because of the connection with Jonathan Gannon.
Well, and Sweat has talked about not just this offseason, but past off seasons, why he chose the Cardinals, his time with the Eagles and Gannon, just all of these connections. And you've seen a lot of other players, guys like Zaire Franklin, come to the Packers because of Gannon as well. He just has such a strong connection with a lot of the players that he's worked with in the past. And when I kind of dial it back to what we were talking about earlier in the show with Keyshawn Nixon, his attitude to have a bunch of guys that are already bought into this coaching staff, whether or not there are going to be those growing pains throughout the first 5 weeks without Micah Parsons, to have as many people in that room that believe in what Jonathan Gannon can do as a coach, that are going to buy in and give it their all, I think is extremely necessary for this Packers defense to hold or at least gain any kind of confidence moving forward before they get Micah Parsons back partway through the year there. And I think that's a huge deal for them. Moving on over to the offensive side of the ball, Sparky doesn't want to say his name on this show. I'm going to say his name because I'm not Sparky and I'm not afraid. Marshawn Lloyd, the backup running back right now for this Green Bay Packers
I'm a big
team.
Marshawn Lloyd guy.
How big of a Marshawn Lloyd guy? Because I'm not as sold. I don't know. I think a lot of people are hyping him up too much.
He's going to be good. He's just got to stay healthy. I've just been waiting for him to get healthy. I really like the pick in the second round. What is that now? 3 years ago at this point? Yeah. Just stay healthy, and I think he could have a really nice role on this team.
What is it about him that you like that much?
It's that he's different from the other running backs that they have. He is explosive. He can move really well laterally. He's got great speed, which is something that Josh Jacobs doesn't necessarily thrive at doing. Chris Brooks either. So I think Marshawn Lloyd fits perfectly into a role that the Packers desperately need. And I think he can fit that role pretty nicely. I think one day he could become a starting running back. Now, he might not be able to be like the 1A. He might need like a second guy with him, like a tag team. But I think he could be a starting running back by next year if they decide to move on from Josh Jacobs.
I think it all obviously is dependent on how the rest of this preseason goes and his performance throughout the rest of this preseason. But do you see him for sure as that second running back on this Packers team to open the season over a Chris Brooks, despite his lack of availability over the past few years? Or do you think Matt LaFleur is the type of coach that would say you have to still earn that spot in real game time, not even just preseason play, but real actual regular season play? And then we'll see if you can get up back to that role, back into that starting or second string spot? Or do you think this is something where he is just so talented that if he can stay healthy, that is his role no matter what?
Yeah, I think they're going to play all three guys. They all do something different. Josh Jacobs, obviously, we know what he does, more of a bruiser and a workhorse. Just said Marshawn Lloyd, more of the speed guy, the scat kind of guy. And Chris Brooks is more of the pass-catching, pass-blocking guy. So he might be more of the third down running back. I think we see all three of them play a decent bit throughout the season, which, hey, that's cool with me. If they all have their individual strengths, why not use them to those strengths, to maximize those strengths?
Do you think that changes with, as we've watched the preseason so far, that first week against the Steelers, and what we've heard and seen out of training camp so far, with the way that the Packers offense, I think a lot of people are expecting it to transition into a more of a pass-heavy approach, a lot more 3 wide receiver sets, 11 personnels where you have the 1 tight end, 1 running back on the field, that it becomes then harder to get those guys that type of reps with this offense? Or do you think that opens it up almost a little bit more to have that rotational backfield instead of having just a workhorse back?
I think it opens it up. I think that also Josh Jacobs has opened up ability to have more rotation because, 1, he hasn't been healthy apparently, and 2, who the heck knows when he's going to be able to play
Adam
or if he's playing.
Adam Schefter keeps saying that he's still going to get investigated, that you Packers fans should still not be surprised if some kind of discipline comes down on him. It's just really frustrating that it's taking so long to do this. Like, if you're going to discipline him at all, which – from NFL side of things, I understand. If I'm being honest, it's better to be preemptive, take a few games away from a guy before you're wrong, and then all of a sudden other stuff comes out, and then you have to react instead of being that proactive type of league. But if you're going to do that, suspend him. Take those games away, a couple of games. Find some way to move on from this so that, again, if you as a league move forward without doing this or get too close to the season, and then all of a sudden you get right before week 1, you say, oh, Josh Jacobs is suspended for 3 weeks, and now you have a whole nother problem on your back. That's going to be an issue. I just don't understand when last Friday, they started releasing some of the guys that are going to be on that list, the suspension list, that Josh Jacobs wasn't just immediately given like a 2-game suspension and they move on from that.
Yeah, I if he gets suspended for, let's say, 6 games, I think that's a ridiculous suspension from the NFL. Considering,
well, and that would be like the NFL doing a better investigation than the police if they feel like it's worth, like 6 games that's a steep.
I have a hard time believing the NFL.
James Pierce, like they had all the evidence on earth to give him that 6-game suspension, all the evidence on earth to have him criminally tried, all these different things. Like they had all of that. If you were to give that to Josh Jacobs, you have to have all of that.
I have a hard time believing the NFL can find that, and the DA can't find that here.
Right.
You know, and I have a hard time saying that the NFL should be giving 6-game suspensions for something that can't be proven, or clearly there's not, hardly any bit of evidence. Like this has been like 4 months now. But that's what we're going to be coming up on here pretty soon.
And I think that's part of the problem with the NFL right now, or the problem that they have at this moment with Josh Jacobs, is that, yes, nothing new has come up. So nothing that proves he's innocent, nothing that proves that there's a different situation going on. Like there's nothing that's happened that like lets you move forward in this situation. It's all just stuck at a standstill because nobody is saying anything and nothing is happening or coming of this. I think that's more of an issue. Like it would just be nice if the NFL just said, you know what, 2 games, that's not that bad. That's going to get us a little bit of backlash, probably from some fans, but that's enough to say, hey, we at least did something beforehand before this gets out of hand moving forward here, because right now it hasn't. But I think they're like, it's stretching the bubble a little bit, and that bubble is going to pop at some point. and that's going to be a problem for this Packers team or for Josh Jacobs or for the NFL. No matter who it is, it's going to be bad for somebody. And I think that's something we have to watch moving forward here. But like you're saying, I want to see Marshawn Lloyd. I want to see him healthy. I want to be able to see him go out there and take tonight some lead back type of role, a little bit bigger of a role, and see what he can do with that. All right, we are going to hit a quick break here. It is Friday, which means it is time for Plead the Fifth, presented by Habish, and Rotier. I got a bunch of clips over there that we have. I see somebody in our Nicolay Law Talking text line has nominated Aaron for his soup take on Plead the Fifth, so it looks like both of us may be on there, Mr. Aaron. That is all right. This is Wisconsin Sports Daily. I'm Charlie Houston. I am live from Natty Oaks here, where lots of people are filling in for dinner right now. Lots of great beer, lots of great food, lots of great music at 6:30 right now. We are looking like it's getting a little sunnier out there, so hopefully we can get some live music going here. Live music all weekend. Great events this weekend at Natty Oaks. So come out, come visit. I'm going to be here for another 40 minutes or so come say hi. Again, I'm Charlie Houston. I'm live from Natty Oaks. That's Aaron Morris. He's live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, and this is Wisconsin Sports Daily.
Driving on the interstate, as it took us on a day, bombs, blood, dripping from the sun.
Welcome back into Wisconsin Sports Daily. I am Charlie Houston, and I am live here from Natty Oaks, where there's lots of great food going around. I smell some amazing fish fry. I've seen some big old bowls of chili. Mitch Thunder Nells had some clam chowder earlier, which maybe I'll have to try. Like, I don't think I've ever had clam chowder. It's like the whole thing. If you guys missed it before, we're talking about Aaron's soup affliction when we get into Plead the Fifth here soon. But everything smells so good. All the beer looks great. All the great liquor being poured behind the bar. It's a great time here at Natty Oaks. There's also lots of great things happening this weekend here at Natty Oaks as well. Tonight, the Love Monkeys are set to play at 6:30. It looks like the clouds are starting to clear up. The sun's coming out, so hopefully we can get them out there on the patio. Should be a lot of fun there. Check the Facebook for Natty Oaks to see what they are saying about the radar, about getting the band out there as well. Saturday, First Wave will be playing music in the grass at 6:30 as well. And Sunday will be Family Fun Day. Bounce houses, face painting, balloon artists, magic show, all of that from 11 to 3. That magic show's happening at 2. So come out, come visit us here at Natty Oaks. Just talked to my guy Tommy in Dallas. I get to read his texts all the time, so it was really cool to be able to talk to him. Great dude. So be like Tommy. Come visit me here out at Natty Oaks. My friend Aaron Morse is back there in the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. And Aaron, I think it's time to plead the fifth.
It's a Plead the Fifth Friday, sponsored by Habish and Rotier. Who should have just kept their mouth shut? Who made a bad decision commenting on a topic they shouldn't have? Let's hear who you think should plead the fifth this week on Wisconsin Sports Daily. Served up by Wendy's with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer.
All right, so here on Plead the Fifth, if you are brand new to Wisconsin Sports Daily or haven't listened on a Friday this late into the show before, Plead the Fifth is where Sparky and I usually go throughout the world of sports, find somebody that needs to shut their mouth. Maybe a play happened or an event happened that was a little bit goofy, and maybe the player needs to apologize, a coach needs to apologize. You just need to be quiet in some moments, and Habish Rotier gets that. So this is Plead the Fifth with them as well. So Aaron, over there, I got a couple sounds set up for you in Plead the Fifth. The first one I wanted to play was of Tyrese Haliburton, Indiana Pacers star. Sparky would have been so angry at this if he was here. I don't know if you have as much hate for Tyrese Haliburton as some other people in the state of Wisconsin do, but this clip may fuel that hate a little bit if you do not like Tyrese.
Name any other person that you compare to my level of a basketball player, wherever you have me ranked. If they tore their Achilles and missed 16 months, do you think that game would be on national television? Yeah, you probably think so? Sure. Yeah. Do you think that game would be at home if not on national television?
For sure.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. Okay. Do you think that game would be at New Orleans?
Wait, what? Oh, your first game? Oh, that's crazy.
Oh, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
When I saw schedule, I was like, oh, wow. Not Trey Murphy. My boy Trey.
Yeah,
cool. New Orleans, but I was shocked to see that. But we move on.
Yeah, Tyrese Haliburton plays for the Indiana Pacers, just in case you were wondering. Yes, they did make an NBA Finals 2 years ago, which he was an extremely important part of. He's a very phenomenal player. Now, if we look at the NBA slate of games, I think there are a few other markets in my mind, Aaron Morris, that deserve that type of kind of highlight, limelight type of moment than Indiana and the Indiana Pacers.
Who the hell does Tyrese Haliburton think he is?
Exactly. That's exactly what this is. Like, that is absolutely absurd. And I understand. Again, I give him respect. I think he is a very good player. He's an all-star caliber player. At the same exact time, if you had asked any random NBA fan, most fans that have watched basketball to some degree and said, hey, list the top 3 storylines going into this season, how many of those fans do you think Tyrese Haliburton coming back from his year-long injury would have been on that list for those fans, Aaron? Like, that's absolutely absurd to me that he thinks he deserves that type of recognition.
Should we go through and, like, okay, Boston Celtics, more likely to be on national television over the Pacers, yes, where he wants to be, okay? Mm-hmm. The New York Knicks, defending champions, right?
Yep.
Okay. Philadelphia 76ers, now with LeBron, obviously. Yep. Okay. Would you put the Pistons or Cavs there?
Yeah, I think so. I think both those teams have had more recent success, even though they're smaller markets. They get that boost because Indiana was 2 years ago. They were last year.
Miami Heat, because Giannis is there.
Yep.
Right? Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3. We're at 4, at least 5 teams now, just in the Eastern
All
Conference.
right.
Denver Nuggets with Jokic.
Yep.
Timberwolves with Ant.
Yep. And LaMelo now too. So both of them.
Ant
are
and
there.
LaMelo. Yep. Okay.
And recent success.
OKC, obviously.
Yep.
Okay. Golden State, Steph. Yeah. Okay. 9. Lakers. They're the Lakers no matter who's on the team.
Yeah. Same
Okay.
with the Clippers. I think you could even say them just because they're in LA.
So 11. The Dallas Mavericks with Cooper Flag. Better draw nationally than Tyrese Halliburton coming off an ACL.
Yes, I think so. I would say they probably are. I also think that with Dusty May as the head coach now, that gives them a little bit of a
Okay.
boost in that department. Yeah, I would say they probably get it too.
KD and the Rockets.
Yep.
And San Antonio Spurs.
Yep.
14 teams before we get to the Pacers.
Yeah. And Tyrese, like, if I'm being completely honest with you, playing the New Orleans Pelicans is probably your best opportunity to have the best possible game as well. And I think that gets you more national recognition or gets you back into that spotlight than just playing on that stage. Like, I think you need to be able to show that you can beat Tyrese Halliburton again before you can just say, I deserve that type of recognition.
Yeah, and you don't just like get a national TV game because you've been out for 16 months. Like, oh, hey, this guy's coming back from an ACL. Like, no, that's not how it works, dude. Like, first of all, that's not how it works. Second of all, you ain't that dude.
Exactly. It's just absolutely absurd to me that he thinks he is. If we head on to our next clip, Aaron, I remember I have one about pineapple pizza. I don't want that one. I want the other one, and I can't remember what I picked for that other one. So surprise
Yeah,
me.
this one was tough. This was ESPN the other day. I believe it was First Take. They were cutting to the Pat McAfee show.
Oh,
They
yes,
were doing
yes.
a tribute to Bill Rasmussen, and they cut out of the tribute early.
Wake up early to try to catch it on the news. So now we got sports all day, every day.
His legacy lives on. We'll
Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to our Humble Abode, the DraftKings Thunderdome. On this Big Ball Tuesday, August 18, 2026.
On this Big Ball Tuesday. That's how you come back from giving a tribute to the man that built the network that is paying you so much money. And I understand. And Pat McAfee came out and talked about this. He was like, you know, this is how TV works, which also he did it in a really kind of like D-bag type of way, which it's Pat McAfee.
As Steve Zabin would say, douchebag.
Douchebag. All right, yeah, I like that. We'll rock with that. He put up on like the screen in a big graphic talking about like how TV works and how hard outs work and all this other stuff. I don't really care. Like, I don't blame Pat McAfee for his show getting pushed there. I blame ESPN for not setting that up better, for the producers not giving the First Take crew more time to have that type of segue, or the First Take crew not paying attention to what they're doing so that they can get that type of ceremony out of the way and make sure that it happens in a way that is respectful. And that didn't happen at all. For, again, the guy who built the network that you're on, who built the largest sports network in the entire world, and you're going to have it cut like that is so beyond unprofessional. And I understand here at our network, we have our moments where John Kuhn gets cut off or Sparky gets cut off because they're rambling a little too much, but that's not what this was. This is, again, the biggest network in the entire world airing sports, and we're gonna see. Ooh, that was an amazing catch, dude. Oh, I love Luis Lara. He's awesome. But as we look at what ESPN is doing, and you have all of these different cuts happening, and you have all this different talent leaving the network, and you are trying to revive it by putting Pat McAfee on everything, to have little moments like this, it's just another way for fans of the sports world to say ESPN is not anywhere near what it used to be, and that if you are going to continue to have moments like this, there has to be other outlets in the modern day and age where you can find this type of sports coverage that's going to take it with a little bit more care than just saying Pat McAfee gets to be on everything. So that's why I'm so frustrated by this. I know, again, it's not his fault. It's not his show's fault. It's ESPN as a network being extremely lazy for one moment that they shouldn't have been lazy. And that's so frustrating to me.
Yeah, they have the ability to change that or lengthen it if they want the ability to do that. It doesn't have to work like that.
ESPN's on the same channel everywhere.
Yeah.
Like with us and our network, we have problems with that because they're all on different kinds of like broadcast
Different clocks.
systems.
Yep.
Exactly. So we have to be a little bit better about that. ESPN's the same channel everywhere. I know the different services have their different channels, but they're all on the same wavelength. They all have that same kind of set thing so that this type of stuff won't take place, and you just let it happen. That's extremely frustrating to me. Let's head on over to our third and final clip. This one's a little less serious. This is, I believe, Mike Greenberg on Get Up, and he was breaking down why he hates Hawaiian pizza on Hawaiian Pizza Day.
I'm not a hot take guy, right? There are some people who make a lot of hot takes, a lot of big statements. I'm going to make a statement right now, and you can fight me if you want to on this. I'm not knocking Hawaiian pizza. If you enjoy it, then by all means, enjoy it. You're welcome to like anything you like to eat. But it is my firm opinion. In fact, I don't even think this is an opinion. I think this is a statement of fact. The moment you put pineapple on a pizza, it ceases to be a pizza. A pizza does not have pineapple on it. Once you put pineapple on it, you are now creating a different food. What the actual heck is this? This is okay.
Yeah,
this is go ahead.
Did they make it upstairs?
Obviously so. Someone, you're gonna eat that?
Yeah.
You're gonna eat that's
Pizza.
pineapple on a. Oh my God! Oh, the humanity.
So I'm not a pineapple on pizza guy. I don't think it was something that I would try. At the same time, I think I put on the clip that this is pizza is. I don't think you, Mike Greenberg, get to decide what goes on a pizza or what doesn't go on a pizza or what justifies is a pizza or isn't a pizza. If it has all the same kind of base to it, if it's that dough, that pizza dough, you got some kind of sauce on there, you got some kind of cheese on there, that's enough to call it a pizza in my mind. Even if you don't have cheese, even if you don't have sauce on there, you don't get to make the rules on what a pizza is. And that's crazy. Again, I'm fighting for all my pineapple on pizza lovers. That is not fair to say it's not a pizza, Aaron.
Does get this vegetable fruit, get them off of my pizza. What if I want fruits or vegetables? I will eat them
So
separately.
You only have meat on your pizza?
Yes. It does not belong on my pizza. Why would I want to ruin my pizza?
I've enjoyed my time working with
If,
Aaron Morse.
if
so
I
far.
want fruits or vegetables, I will eat them on the side. I do not want to ruin my pizza.
That's crazy.
My beautiful, delicious pepperoni and sausage pizza should not be ruined by mushrooms or peppers or pineapples or olives or anchovies or whatever else gross stuff you want to put on my delicious pizza. Get it out of here.
But is it still a pizza if somebody does that? Would you still consider a pizza if one of your friends
Yes,
orders that?
but
Okay.
I look at them like this.
I just don't understand. Okay, so my favorite pizza, I will get a spinach, green pepper, and chicken. And typically, if a place has it, a pesto base on the bottom. So I got tons of green on my. Sometimes onion too. I'll throw a little onion on there as well. I love vegetables on my pizza. I love fruit on burgers and stuff. Anything that where they can find a way to mix those flavors. You're just not adventurous enough. I think I don't know if I can go eat a meal with Aaron Morse in the future now. This might be a problem. If we head on over to the Nicolay Law Talk and text line, Ziggy and Nate from North Milwaukee both nominate you, Aaron, on Plead the Fifth.
Yep.
They say, or Ziggy says first, and I'm putting Aaron in Plead the Fifth for his hot liquids take. Who doesn't like soup? What even is that? And then Nate follows that up by saying, I'm nominating Aaron Morse as well, not for his soup take, but for his Jordan Love take he said this morning. Aaron, what'd you say this morning?
I railroaded the first segment of 9 to Noon because me and Brandon Snide were on the Steve Zabin show together today, and he took it a whole nother place. I didn't think we were going. I said Jordan Love is an 8 to 10 best quarterback and probably not good enough to win a Super Bowl with the Packers.
So the debate on ESPN over the past couple of days that they've been having on First Take specifically is what is Jordan Love? They've been putting quarterbacks into good, great, and elite tiers. Where would you put him
Good.
in that rate?
He's a good quarterback.
Do you think there are great quarterbacks in the league right now? Or is there just elite
Yeah.
and then a bunch of good?
Yeah, there's probably not many elite versus they're probably even them out, but I would say there's probably 4 elite quarterbacks and 4 great quarterbacks, and then 4 good quarterbacks, a bunch of average quarterbacks and bad quarterbacks.
I think I would say personally, I think I could probably justify, or somebody could explain to me why they think somebody deserves to be in the great category. I think also right now, and this kind of goes back to what I was talking about before with the preseason and how much you should let guys play. I think you just have an extremely young league right now with extremely young quarterbacks in 2/3 of the franchises that are helping trying to lead their teams as young starters almost immediately. And because of that, I think you do have the 4 to 5 elite, but I also think there's 1 to 2 great, maybe the rest are good, and a lot less than that. I think the gap is just so much bigger. Let's head to a break here real quick. When we come back, we are going to follow the money with my good friend Austin Herdina over there at the Potawatomi Sportsbook, who is also powering our Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. I'm Charlie Houston. I'm over at Natty Oaks. Come say hi. Come grab a drink. Come grab some food. Again, I'm Charlie. That's Aaron Morse over there, and this is Wisconsin Sports Daily.
It's time to follow the money with Austin Herdina, the sportsbook manager of the Potawatomi Sportsbook on Wisconsin Sports Daily on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
That is right. This is Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from Natty Oaks. That's where I am, myself, Charlie Houston, and Aaron Morris is back over there in the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Let's head on over to the Potawatomi Sportsbook studios, where my friend Austin Herdina is up over there. He's got a nice blue shirt on today. I know Sparky would like to analyze the tie, analyze the shirt and everything. Be very disappointed. I do like that tie very much. I'm a big blue guy, so blue is what I go with all the time.
It's just a new tie. It's only the second time I've worn it. I was going to wear it just for Sparky. I didn't know he was off today.
I know. Every time we want to do something nice for Sparky or something nice is going to happen, he just has to be gone. Austin, let's go over to where everybody is spending all their money over there at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. What's the first game you got on your list?
First one is Boston Red Sox. A lot of people have been coming in betting Boston today. They got Sonny Gray on the mound. He's 15-3 on the record this season with a 2.65 ERA. They're going up against Logan Webb, not a bad pitcher in his own right. But a lot of money's coming in on Boston. So if you want to follow the bettors, you're going to come in and take the Red Sox.
Well, and that's going to be a game where Boston should probably end up winning. That San Francisco is not a very solid team, so I can see why a lot of people are going there. Austin, with this Brewers game today, can you see where people were putting their money on that?
I'll tell you what, the total was 6 for the game. You don't see a lot of 6. If you do, it's maybe a playoff game. But, yeah, it's a lot of people are still taking the under on 6. And, I mean, if you took the under on 6, you're looking pretty good right now.
I think, Aaron, we ended up taking the under on the 6? Or
no,
did
we
we
didn't. We went no runs first inning, Luis Lara 1+ hit, and Brewers money line.
All right. Yeah, I think we can live with that. What about the money line, Austin? How is that looking?
Money line was the favorite as well. People were taking the Brewers. Even after the game started, some people were coming in, not realizing there was an afternoon game today. So they're like, they saw the Brewers on and they kept hammering them as well. So the Brewers have been up 2-0 right now, looking pretty solid.
For sure. As we move on from the MLB, there's a lot of NFL preseason action happening tonight. What about in those games, Austin? Where are people heading there?
Yeah, we got the Green Bay Packers playing tonight. It's always fun to see them on a Friday night. So the Packers are +6 at Denver. I don't know how much we're going to see of our starters tonight. It was nice to see them play last week. I think we'll see a little bit from that tonight. But Denver's a tough team. They got a lot of depth. That line of Denver -6, I think, makes some sense in this one. But a lot of people are taking Packers, and they're taking the money line +195. I mean, not very often can you take the Packers and get 2-1 on your money. So I think people are looking at that. Yeah, people are looking at that, and they're taking it.
Very cool. We've been having a discussion here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network all day today, Austin. Well, I got a couple questions for you first. They do not have to do with follow the money. Don't worry. With Jordan Love heading into this preseason game, if you were to be the head coach, if you were Matt LaFleur, how long would you play him in today's game?
I think I'd play him 2 series, but if it's like 3-and-out series, I might stick him out there a little longer. So maybe even the first quarter of the game. I mean, I think that he needs to get some more playing time with some guys like Matthew Golden, who he only had a year with last year, and he wasn't on the field a ton. Guys like, if Tucker Kraft is going to be playing, I'm not sure if he is, but if he is, we're going to want to see them play together. He missed a lot of time last year, just to get some more reps with the new offensive line as well. So I'd like to see him play probably the first quarter.
Very cool. And then my last question, this is something that is personal to Aaron Morse over there. He doesn't like soup, and he can't explain it. He just says it has a bad vibe to it. Are you a soup guy, Austin?
I am absolutely a soup guy. What do you mean you don't like soup?
I don't hate soup. I don't
He doesn't understand it. What does that mean? I don't understand you not understanding
what's
soup.
The appeal? It's just water. It's flavored water.
No. You put some meat and vegetables in there. It's like a stew. I mean, there's so many different kinds of soup you can have as well. Like you can have.
Aaron doesn't like vegetables either. So
I did not say that. I like plenty of vegetables. Don't let him lie to you. Don't let him lie to you.
No soup for you, I guess.
All right, Austin, we are running short on time here. Thank you so much for joining us for a short little bit here, as always, and have a good rest of your weekend there, my man.
Thanks, guys. Go Brewers, go Packers.
Yes, sir. Go Brewers, go Packers. There he is, Austin Herdina over there at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I am Charlie Houston. We're running out of time here. Aaron Morse is going to come back with a little bit of a short Wisconsin wrap-up as we wait for this Milwaukee Brewers game to end. They're wearing the Wisco jerseys. They're up 2-0 right now in the top of the seventh. 1 out, Antonio Sensatella up on the mound. I'm Charlie Houston. That's Aaron Morse over there. I'm broadcasting live from Natty Oaks. Thank you so much for hosting us today. And Aaron's live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Have a great rest of your weekend, Wisconsin.